Aw, girl. We're back with another episode of Books and Bullshit. Zachary Jobchinski, the Bowtie author, best-selling, and all that jazz. I'm here with Martina McAtee, the queen of Snark and Dark. What's up, Martina?
And all that jazz. I'm sorry. As soon as you say that, all I can think of is Chicago.
And all that jazz.
That's what he does in the microphone, right? And then just the whispering creepiness in the background.
That's awesome. Well, today we've got one of our favorite types of episodes, I think, which is just talking about, we're just spilling tea.
We're just spilling the tea. Oh, we're having a kiki.
I love it when we do this. So we've got a couple things that we're going to talk about today, and then we've also got an interview.
That's how we should start all of these, with the Let's Have a Kiki by the Scissor Sisters. And work and turn and ha ha honey.
We'll put a link to that music video.
Fuck yeah. If you guys haven't listened to Let's Have a Kiki, where the fuck have you been? The song's old as shit. It really is. Like, even Glee did it.
All right. So do you want to start with, so I think I have one that I wanted to kind of go over a little bit for multiple facets. But Martina, you got one or two?
I mean, you have the list. We talked about this together.
Okay, so I get to be the efficient in this one.
Yes,
all right,
yes, you're in charge. I'm your bitch today.
Nice. So our first one was published. Well, it took place and was published and all that jazz. May 12th. And it was done by the Washington Post. And it was speaking about an author. Now, are we saying author names in these scandals?
It depends. Like, if it's a big author name like Sherilyn Kenyon, where everybody kind of has already heard it from 850 news outlets, I don't really think it's a problem. I doubt she's sitting at home listening to our podcast. I don't know who this
person is.
Her I've never heard of. So fuck her. If we want to say her name, it's also in the paper. Whatever.
That's true. It's in the Washington Post, actually. So this
literally it's in WAPO. Everybody know.
Yeah. So author Natasha Tynes got herself into some trouble here for tweeting about a transit worker on her social media. And she was quoted by saying, "When you're on your morning commute and see an @WMATA employee in uniform," in all caps, "eating on the train. I thought you were not allowed to eat on the train. This is unacceptable. Hope @WMATA responds. When I asked the employee about this, her response was, worry about yourself."
As it should be.
And so what ended up happening is, so she shamed this worker, and I believe this worker was also terminated because they did violate the policy.
No, they were not.
Oh, really?
No. They had to actually go on record as saying she's not being terminated.
Oh, well, because you're right.
Yeah, no, the policy had changed, where it was no longer something that was a write-up offense. It was more like a, hey, don't do that. Like, but they know that, shit happens, and like, so nobody gets cited, not even like passengers, for eating on the train anymore. It's just frowned upon.
So I think that's a really interesting thing because, one, it's like, mind your business.
Yes.
And I have to completely side with the transit worker. But as I'm reading this article, I've developed a new beef with this situation.
All right.
Okay, so the author of this article is seems like a very nice young lady in her picture. Lindsay Bever.
Pepper?
Bever.
Oh.
I'm assuming it's not Beaver because that would be unfortunate.
I mean, it might be.
Now, I just read you, quote verbatim, the tweet that started the shitstorm on Twitter.
Right.
Scrolling back up. This article starts with, author Natasha Tynes has ignited a firestorm on social media where she criticized a black Metro employee for eating on the train and reported this woman to transit officials. Honey, you need to quit baiting.
No. Wait. This is why she said it the way she said it.
It was
because
black was never mentioned in the woman's tweet.
No, but what you have is, again, and this is why I keep saying this, before you pick up your phone and tweet something, stop examining what your intentions are and look at the optics. Right now, you can't be barbecuing, picking up trash, fucking minding your own goddamn business without some fucking white person picking up their phone and calling the cops on you. While that was not her intention, You need to, as a person, and yes, she is not white, she's Indian.
I was actually looking up
She's Indian.
of the author.
But it doesn't matter because, again, nobody can see her picture. They can only see the black transit worker who was minding her own fucking business while black, who is being disciplined publicly on social media like it's anybody's fucking business. So just for 5 fucking seconds, stop what you're doing before you hit post and think about how you're going to look through the world's eyes. Because right now, everybody's so ready to see the worst case scenario here. And while your intentions, which were shady at best.
There were no good intentions in this.
No.
Let's be
when
real.
you think that you have the right to publicly fucking name and shame somebody on social media with the sole
eating
intention
their breakfast
of getting them in trouble, you're a fucking cunt.
Yep.
Sorry.
100%.
So, sorry, so fuck you. Sorry. But the reason she said she's a black worker is because it's such a huge problem right now that everybody's ready to see color as the primary focus. And I'm not saying like, I don't think color, but so you have to always look at, like we were talking about earlier, like that fucking dude who was on the right side as far as I'm concerned, being like pro-choice,
most of us would agree.
right? Like, and he was like pro-choice, and he was mad that this girl was like screaming at people wanting to get abortions, and he thought he was gonna be cute and drop kick her phone out of her hand and accidentally kick the bitch in the face. So did they see a guy standing up for girls trying to get abortions? No, they saw a dude drop kick a bitch in the face. That's all they saw.
To be honest, also with that, he would have still gotten shit if he had just kicked the phone out of her hands.
Yes.
Like, you just assaulted somebody.
Right. But
Period.
the point is like he went from being on the right side to being on the wrong side in the span of 30 seconds. So you can't pop off about shit.
I'm not saying the person that did this is absolutely wrong 100%. I just look at that. I look at the tweet, and while that is happening, this sort of shit isn't helping, because now the author of this article now also threw race in there, and they're enabling that debate.
Right, but the debate was there. She's reporting on the debate that was already happening on Twitter. It had ignited already on Twitter over race. It was race related in the public eye. So she is already stating that the reason people took note of this is because it was a black worker. That's why Black Twitter was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, now we can't be on the train. Is there any place we can be just minding our own fucking business without somebody deciding that they get to tell us what we can and can't do and then turning us in? So it was really Black Twitter that kind of just was like, like, you just can't be black anywhere anymore. So she's just reporting what was already happening. And it is race related. Even if her intention wasn't racially motivated, it ripples through the community as racist, because that's how we look at everything right now. Because it is a huge problem. And until we start actually fucking dealing with the people who are fucking making these false police reports, who should, by the way, be fucking arrested for wasting police time.
That should be, the thing that aggravates me is in most areas, it's actually just a ticketable misdemeanor. I'm like, that should be a felony. Like,
yeah.
People that are like calling the cops and like there was one where it was a woman and her black son, and it was a white woman walking out of a store,
Yep.
and like his backpack bumped her. Or
Yeah,
something
he
like
touched
that.
me. He assaulted me. He tried to rape me.
And he was like 7 years old, and this kid is bawling his eyes out,
Yep.
and she's like, "No, I want the police here. I want him charged." And it's like,
yeah,
he is a 7-year-old baby whose backpack bumped you. And
Yeah.
there are witnesses there, like,
yeah, and there was a lot of people getting in between them, like, bitch, you need to back the fuck off, which more people should do. As somebody who's white, you have a duty to fucking step in and fucking diffuse the situation if you can. It's the only thing you can do, honestly. Like, but if you guys just keep walking past and acting like it's not fucking happening, you're not fucking helping. No matter if you go home and fucking tweet it on social media.
I think all of us should start doing that and standing up for fellow people more. I mean, it's ridiculous the shit that I see these videos, and like when like there are videos that you can see like people just have a knockdown, drag out brawls. Not even like people will always immediately referencing, oh, that cop's getting their ass kicked by 3 guys while they're trying to arrest the one guy. That's wrong. Nobody's helping. But then also there's videos of like people that get into bar fights. You'll have 2 or 3 dudes kicking the shit out of another drunk, and people are filming on their phones. Like, no, get in there and fucking. I'm not saying help the guy because he might have done something that you need to get your ass whooped, but break the fucking fight up.
But the
that's
truth
not
is,
what we should be doing.
Don't let him get seriously
That's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
Well, the truth is there's a statistic that says that the more people who witness a crime, the less people step in and help.
Everybody assumes somebody
Right.
else.
Everybody's always assuming somebody else called the police. And it's why that huge case way back in the day where that girl is raped outside her fucking building and every single person
the
heard...
one that was raped and stabbed, it was Kitty
Yeah, she's got
Genovese.
Kitty Genovese. Like, everybody just assumed that somebody else called the cops, and she died horrifically.
Oh, not just that. The worst part was she died. That she goes around the side of the building, and there's a small private stairwell with a door. You open the stairwell, and it goes up to one guy's door. And he cracked his door and watched the guy come in, rape her, finish her off, and leave. And he was terrified, hoping. He said, I was praying the whole time, somebody will call. It's like,
because
you're watching it happen.
He didn't want to call because it was the 70s, and he was a homosexual man. And he did not want to bring attention to himself because he was a very obviously homosexual man. And he flat out said he was afraid that the cops would find a way to basically harass him. But the irony of that is he was very good friends with her, and she died in the arms of her girlfriend, who for years they played it off as like, oh, they were good friends. No,
her girlfriend didn't even say that they were until it
years
was forced
later
out of her, and she was chastised in interrogation. Right. They started interrogating her.
Exactly, in the same way they would have done to him. So in a way, it was the culture itself that almost was complicit in this crime. But the fact that like everybody watched and nobody did anything, and she was raped horribly, but she was stabbed repeatedly. And when that dude realized that nobody was coming to help her, he found her again. Like, that part is just so insidious to me. It's just like, and he was so like whatever about it. He was like, I just wanted to go rape and murder somebody, so I just got in my fucking car and I just waited. Like, whatever.
He was like, and other crimes that he had done, he had literally, like, he had to have been sociopathic, if not borderline psychopathic.
100%.
He had no, like, he had no emotions, and he would talk about other horrible crimes and, like, robberies and shit, like, just like, yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, and he was like, wasn't me. They were like, we know it's you. And he's like, okay, it was me. Here's all the other shit I did too. Whatever.
Very blasé. Yeah, it was creepy.
Yeah, it was very creepy. But it's just, there's not enough right now. Everybody wants the video and nobody wants to fucking help, and that's a huge part of this fucking problem. But also, cops aren't being fucking penalized when they are pulling guns on people for literally no fucking reason, when they're stopping people for no reason. Like, it's such a systemic problem that there's a million things that have to be done to fix it, but like everybody has to do their fucking part.
Absolutely. And then we get so, like, each side like hypes each other up, and it's just like this. I don't know how we're ever gonna fix this shit. And I hope we do, because it creates such a hostility.
Well, it starts with getting fucking certain people booted out of office, and then we go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we need to start having harsher penalties for a lot of that stuff. We need to start looking at penalizing cops that fuck up and do that stuff, but they never get penalized.
They need more training.
The people that I can tell you guys from literal personal experience, they don't train when I was in law enforcement. They don't train you on de-escalation. What in private industry they call it verbal judo, and private armed professionals are taught this, but in law we weren't. We are taught how to shoot. I remember one time one of my instructors said, you know, these are your responsibilities as we do. Remember, you guys are gunfighters. That's what we pay you to do. My instructor said that to the whole class.
Okay, so perfect example. I don't know if Layla's listened to the Without Warning podcast, but it's the story of this girl who goes away for the weekend with a high school friend and her boyfriend. And while she's there, she, quote unquote, falls off the cliff where they're hiking or camping. Nobody reports her missing, and then they find her body at like 4:00 floating in the water. And as the off-duty cops find her, because they're like running the event for Wakefest, these two guys row up to them and they're like, hey, our friend's missing, is that her? Nobody reported a body, no reason for them to even be there. So the off-duty cop thinks it's really shady, and so he makes the two guys come on the boat with him, and he starts recording. And the whole time these kids are acting really sketchy. And one of them keeps looking at his gun. And finally he just says, what are you thinking over there? He goes, I'm thinking, how am I going to wrestle that gun away from you and get off this boat? And he says, oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you, kid. He's like, I'm just kidding, man. Like 5 minutes later, he says the same thing. Guy's like, this is fucking weird. So finally, the actual DeKalb County Sheriff's department shows up, and it's their jurisdiction. And they never question the off-duty cop. They take the kids with them when they go film the scene. He takes like a few pictures. They're like, yeah, our friend is drunk. We think she fell off the cliff. Never questions anybody. Never does anything. They fucked up when they took her body. They used the hooks to get her on the boat. They, like, everything that they could have done wrong, they did. So the parents realized that they fucked up. They didn't do a rape kit, even though she had a bite mark on her chest. Like, really weird. And their excuse was, well, she had a tampon in, so she couldn't have been raped. Okay. Is that how that works?
There's so much wrong with that.
Right. So they file a wrongful death suit, and they are deposing not only the sheriff, but the first, what do you call it? The head detective, the lead detective. They're like, so they say to him, tell us about your training. He's like, what do you mean? They're like, well, okay, first off, when did you graduate high school? Oh, I didn't graduate high school. I dropped out when I was 15. Okay, so you got your GED? Yeah, I worked with my grandfather in construction till I was 22, and then I decided I wanted to be a cop, so I applied. He's like, well, how does that work to apply to be the cop? Do you have to go to school? No, it's just like any other job. I just walked in and said I wanted to be a cop, and they interviewed me, and I got it. Okay, so why did you get the job? He's like, well, I knew a lot of cops, so they hired me. Okay, so what's your training then? He's like, oh, we had to do a 1-week course for me to be a corrections officer. And then after 3 months, they promoted me to deputy.
This has to be a sheriff's department. It sounds about how this, yeah.
So he's like, okay, well, once you became a deputy, what's your training? Oh, I had to take a 2-week class. And he's like, okay, well, have you had any specialized certifications in death scenes? No. How about rapes? No. He's like, well, is it mandatory for you to have any specialized training? No. It's really at the sheriff's discretion. He's like, had you ever run a death scene before? I've been at them. Have you ever run a death scene before? No. He's like, well, didn't you think it was pertinent to film the crime scene? Oh, I did. Well, where are those pictures? I don't know. Like, it was so infuriating to listen to this dude's deposition. I wanted to drive to Georgia and beat his ass. Like, he did nothing right. Like, there's no training. And in the sheriff's department, it really is discretionary.
There's still, to this day, there is some training that they go through.
Yeah.
It's better than it used to be by far.
Right.
But with the job that I work in, we still go to different departments and we host at our facility training on how to collect evidence and whatnot at a crime scene, because it's still to this day done very poorly sometimes.
But
not always.
But like in the police academy, like when you actually become a cop, like for, like the county or the city or whatever, and you go to the academy, that's usually like 6 months to a year or whatever. But they've shown statistically that cops who have 4-year degrees are less likely to be involved, like ridiculously, like 85% less likely to be involved in police brutality, things, because they have the education to de-escalate. And that's what kills me, is that as a nurse, nobody would have just let me get hired and be like, oh, on the job training, try not to kill anybody. Like it should be that way with the police. Like there should be a set thing you have to do and have a degree in it.
The problem with sheriff's departments also is that sort of thing is a thing because it's an elected official position, and they're literally, it's the old running thing of people get nervous, and some people may thumb their nose at this, but I actually have family in sheriff's departments. I've worked with sheriff's departments. I know, and I'm not saying they're all like this, but some are, especially in rural areas, where election is actually very stressful on the sheriff's deputies, because there are times in certain departments where a new sheriff comes in,
right, and they clean out the department.
Half the
that
workforce.
Actually happened in this case. Like,
with people they want in.
When they're talking to the lead detective, they talk about his work history, and he's like, "Yeah, I worked with Patrick Ray, who's the sheriff that fucked up the investigation, and who's very retaliatory about the whole thing. That now this is all being kind of brought to light. But he ran and won, but then when he lost." the head detective guy, along with everybody else, got wiped out. He got fired. And so he had to move to a different county. And then he got reelected and he came back. But my ex was a sheriff, and or a sheriff's deputy, and that's exactly what happened. He was like, well, if my sheriff doesn't win, he's like, I'm out of a job. He's like, they just wipe us all out. And they're like, they want their own team in there. So it's kind of fucking weird how that works.
And it's the only type of police agency that does it. Obviously, Metro Police, state-based police agency thing. Sheriffs are the only ones that are political-based like that. And it's such a weird dichotomy.
We're so derailing this, but we are so in our element. There's nothing we like more than talking about fucking crime.
Oh, yeah.
We fucking get such a boner over true crime.
Too.
Almost as much as we do about talking about gay porn. If we could somehow parlay...
True crime, gay porn.
Yes. I mean, pretty much that's what Books and Bullshit's become. It's just all true crime and gay porn. That actually could be the name of a podcast. It'd probably get picked up real fast.
Yeah, right.
But
we call it True Gay or something.
True Detectives.
All right, so now I know
scandal number one.
Yeah, that's
one
a
and
little
done.
bit more of a serious one. Now some of the other ones are almost funny.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of sad, but if you don't know the author, then they might be a little funny.
Now I'll be honest, I cannot re-find the article from the one for manufacturing meth. Do you remember the name? And I can look that up.
Absolutely not. Well, I don't remember her name, but I think it doesn't even matter because there was a lot of people who did know her, so I know the story is true. And honestly, it's probably better we don't say her name because that one's just sad. But it does tell you how broke most of us are just off of our writing.
Here it is, found it. So it was just taking me a second. Oh yeah, she looks like she likes the meth pipe.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like in May 2019, I don't want to say the name, but you guys might know what we're talking about. A certain best-selling romance author was charged with conspiracy and felony possession with intent to deliver. They was making some methamphetamines.
Yeah, and they weren't just selling it. They didn't just have a little bit in the car. They had their supplies in the back. They were moving operations. There was some planning involved. There was a shit ton of fucking stuff in there. They were Breaking Bad, hardcore. So it's really sad though because it's just so tragic. It just talks to how broke we are as writers.
Here we go. Court shows, and this is where they catch you slipping. The whole thing started when the vehicle was pulled over for an improper lane change. Authorities say a vehicle search turned up bags containing crystal-like substances, believed to be methamphetamine, powder-like substances, digital scales. Passenger was also arrested.
Yeah, guys, if you're gonna be moving your meth operation, you gotta really pay attention to the law.
And move it piece by piece,
Yeah.
not the whole fucking thing. A scale.
Yeah.
You'd have been fine. Or some random tubes in the trunk. All right, you'd have been fine.
And if you're going to be moving meth, at least be cagey about it. Put some shit in the wheel well. Also, don't get high on your own supply. Because if you look like a meth head, they are going to go hard trying to find some shit in your car.
Pack that shit in ground beef, the drugs themselves at the bottom, packages. Put them in grocery bags you just went to the store. So when the dogs find it, they'll think that they're just attracted to the beef. I mean, fucking amateur hour. By the way, I wonder if any of our readers or listeners are taking notes right now.
I don't know, but I will also tell you fucking, dental hygiene. It's a thing. And if you're a meth head and your teeth are fucked up, if your teeth are fucked up and you're not a meth head, people are going to assume you're a meth head. It's just how it is. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules.
If you smile and your grill looks like you could make teeth or make keys, yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks because I know some people don't have access to that. But most of the time, that shit's kind of on you.
Yeah, but if you smell like death and roll up looking like you could take an apple through a picket fence... You're probably on some meth.
You might be a redneck. You might be a meth head.
If you smile and it looks like your mouth is throwing up gang signs, you might be a meth head.
We could do a whole hour just us fucking talking shit about. But we had to, in nursing school, the worst fucking day of my life was just us having to look at this fucking thing called Faces of Meth.
Oh, I love looking at those ones.
And it was just bad teeth, bad skin, picking, so much picking, and just weird dilation of pupils, and it was like a fucking horror movie.
The funny part is when some of those sheriff's departments that have counties with meth problems, and they show progressionary photos of people that keep getting arrested for meth. And at one point, there were some of them, you're like, they were very handsome or they were gorgeous. And then 6 months later, wow, you look like the Crypt Keeper.
Well, let me tell you something. I actually, when I worked at the Drug Study Institute, they brought in a girl, and she was with what I thought was her mother at first, but it turned out to be somebody from the rehab facility. And she looked busted. At first, I thought she was probably 30 years old. And she had like, you know, when your roots start to grow out after you've bleached your hair. So like the first 5 inches were black. And then it was just this real tarnished kind of like blonde color. Her skin was a disaster. Her teeth were a wreck. And she handed me her ID so she could check in. And just this chick was like, she practically was wearing a string of pearls. She was like blonde, blue-eyed, perfect skin. By the way, she was also 19 years old.
Jesus.
She looked like the prom queen in her fucking photo ID, and then just a hot fucking mess. And I just wanted to be like, somewhere between here and there, some shit happened to you, and I hope you're getting therapy, because nobody goes from that to that in less than fucking 2 years without some kind of tragic backstory. Like, what the fuck happened to you? Who hurt you?
Bad decisions were made.
Yeah, like, and this wasn't like, oh, pot's a gateway drug. Like, this was like, somebody said, hey, you ever heard of heroin? Like, and you just had nowhere to go from there. Like, it's just... Crack is whack, y'all.
Thanks, Whitney Houston.
Just meth, don't do it. Thanks for coming to our TED Talk.
You'll look a hot meth.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike Tyson.
Be a hot meth.
That's
not good for you. All right, that's scandal number 2. What's our time? Because we might have to make this a 2-parter. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Just do one more. Just do the...
You want to do Sherilyn?
How many more did you have? Sherilyn's good.
Those are the 2 I could remember.
Because then there was the guy, but I talked about him in a different episode. The one who went off on the tangent about reviews.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was another guy, but I can't remember his scandal, but he was a douche too.
We'll do another episode.
What's the one that you just... Oh, yeah, what's the Sherilyn one?
So, all right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Miss Sherilyn Kenyon. We actually talked about her briefly on a different scandal episode, but we got updates, y'all.
Which one? Now remind us again, because you know my memory shit. Which one's Sherilyn?
So Sherilyn Kenyon went on record as saying that her husband was trying to poison her.
Oh, yeah.
And she said that him and her assistant, over the course of a year, had been systematically trying to kill her. And so they're in the process of a divorce. And I guess they were in court over the divorce. And she popped off at him and pissed off the judge. And she got thrown in jail for contempt. But... there's something so fishy about this. Like, there's something really weird, because she was like, she accused his family basically of molesting her children, or backing him and accusing him of molesting their children, and saying that he was trying to get a hold of her money. She said that she sued Cassandra Clare over the whole shadow hunters thing, because there were shadow hunters in her book, and she said Cassandra Clare stole it and basically kind of ran with it. And I'm pretty sure she won that lawsuit, but it didn't matter in the end, because nobody's really enforcing anything, and Cassandra Clare's just doing whatever the fuck she wants anyway. But I mean, she's obviously out of jail now. I mean, contempt citations, like, usually they'll hold you overnight and then just let you go. They don't fucking care.
$50 fine.
Yeah, there's like, bye. Yeah. Sometimes it's worth it. You got $50 bill in your hand. You're like, fuck you, buddy. Like, just like,
eat a fat dick.
Exactly. So, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, it would be really weird to find out that over the course of her marriage, like, he really was doing all this fucking shady shit to her. And now, like, because it sounds insane, like, especially if it's coming from a writer. Like, this whole thing, if you put it in a book, nobody would fucking believe you, you know? But
right,
so then it's like, girl. But think about it though, but then is it like he's just doing a great job of gaslighting everybody? Like, yeah, she's fucking crazy, look at all, like, how she's behaving, you know? Or is she fucking nuts?
My brother's schizophrenic and says our mom was trying to put a man inside of him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's from
Sometimes a mom is trying to put men inside you. So, so I don't really know I don't know what to think about that, but it's definitely like one of the bigger scandals I think to hit.
I'd have to really just like look at video of them and see how they act when they're discussing it.
Actually, I would just need to look at a picture of him. And I think I could tell you right away whether he's a dickbag or not. I mean, I'm just saying.
He looks like a Chad.
Right. I'm telling you, there's just, if you've ever watched true crime, you can play a game where you can either listen to a 911 call or you can just listen to a guy do his wife's eulogy and you're like, that dude fucking killed her. That dude's sincere. That dude's a fucking murderer. He's probably fucking his daughter. Like, I'm telling you, you just get a sixth sense about these things.
What's the daughter fucker sound like?
You know what daughter fuckers sound like.
Let the record show I don't have a daughter.
Yeah, I wasn't implying that you. Well, I mean, you are fucking somebody's daughter, but legally.
Legally.
I mean, everybody's
That's
fucking
the
somebody.
keynote. Legally.
Like, everybody's fucking somebody's child. I mean, they're just an adult, so it's okay.
And eventually, some of us all become motherfuckers.
But I know Layla knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you listen to those fucking phony as fuck 911 calls. They're like, I don't know what happened. My wife. Have you tried CPR? What? I can't hear you. I was like, motherfucker, I know you can hear me, and I know that you are not doing that CPR. Like, and they say things like, it's really weird because there's a knife right next to her and I may have accidentally picked it up and put my fingerprints on it.
Oh, that's what I was just going to say. Like, then you touched her. Yes, you touched her face and her neck and her arms and her hands and her feet. I was looking for a pulse and I didn't know I panicked. Yeah. And then you also touched the murder weapon and you have bloody handprints all over the house. I was walking around, I was looking for the phone.
Sorry, I can't help but notice that your wife has prints around her neck and they match yours perfectly. Oh, it's just because I really wanted to just hug her one last time. No. Fucking idiots.
Yeah.
They're terrible. You're better off just not fucking saying a word. You're just like, oh my God, I think something happened. I'm going to try to revive her. Please get here as fast as you can. Click. Then you've got time. They can't prove shit. They don't know what you did or didn't do because there went nobody listening on the other end.
True story.
Like, just fucking one and done. Get in, get out, bitch. Like, or just make sure you're not there when they find the body. Have an alibi.
Yeah.
But don't hire anybody because, man, those fucking bitches roll fast.
Half of them are cops.
Yeah, no shit. Like, I don't even know who the person confident enough is to just meet some random stranger and be like, hey, so I heard you like to kill people, and I just happen to have a person you can kill. So, can we do this?
Craigslist.
By the way, like, you're not like a cop, right? No, I'm not a cop. All right, cool.
Yeah, a lot of people still think that cops legally have to divulge if they're a cop when asked.
I know.
No.
You hear prostitutes do that shit all the time. So you're not like a cop, right? No, I'm not a cop. All right, cool. Take off your pants. Haha, just kidding, bitch. I'm a cop. Like, you promised.
Well, it's funny.
You pinky swore.
I was watching this one thing, and it's this thing, and they're talking about, like, they're interviewing people in the sex trade in the industry, and they were like, how's one way that people can tell if you're a prostitute or not? Da 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 da. And one of the pimps was like, a lot of times you'll have guys that'll try to check and see if my girls are cops or not, and they'll ask them to flash their titties, because a cop will not do that. Like, before we talk about anything, I need to see a titty, just so I know this is legit. And female cop, because then it's entrapment. So a female cop will not flash their breasts to prove that they are not a cop. So it's like, we can talk about things, maybe, but I'm going to need to see a titty first on good faith.
Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm not a cheap whore, and I'm just like, nah, bitch, you ain't seeing nothing. You ain't seeing even one titty till I see some cash, motherfucker.
But that's fine. I'll give you $10 to show me your tits. That's
but I don't know how prostitutes ever get any work, because she's like, you ain't a cop, are you? He's like, nah, you ain't a cop, are you? And then it's just like a standoff where they stare each other down like fucking weirdos.
But then the prostitutes will then but then he says, but then his girls will use that on the back end. If there's a John and be like, are you a cop? No, I'm not a cop. Show me your dick. In theory, she's about to see it anyway. Before we talk about anything, show me your dick.
And then she emasculates him, and he murders her, and then we're back in another true crime episode.
God damn it! It's a circular thing. It's like us and porn. We always come back to death.
Everything comes down to porn.
All right, so we got another interview coming up on this episode. I think we're kind of killing the clock on this. We might want to get on that.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Who are we interviewing today?
Rebecca Milhoan,
Snap.
who is also a content editor at Parlament House, just like our other interviewee, Chantel. And she's just going to talk about some random shit, y'all, mostly drag queens and shit. But, you know, it should be entertaining and fun. So that's that. And let's get to it.
Awesome.
Do you have a microphone on you?
I do have a microphone on.
Because we're getting a very Darth Vader-esque heavy breathing. Are you okay over there?
Are you my daddy?
You really are an alpha.
Well, it's like a gamer microphone, so it's like right up in my face.
Yeah, Zach knows all about having those things right on his lips.
Sometimes you just gotta grab them by the base and just bring it right up to your mouth.
And this is how this interview is going to go. So just buckle up.
So I don't know if we did this in the last interview, but why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first, not 30 minutes in.
Okay, well, I'm Rebecca. I run Bibliogal blog. I don't know if some of you may know about that one. Some of you may not. We're a blog that caters to urban fantasy, sci-fi, horror, historical, suspense, pretty much everything but hardcore romance.
Which is what she reads for me.
Yes. And then also, I started a pen name, Rowena Reed, and I'm writing under that currently. I've got a lot of projects going on that I can't really talk about.
Because a lot of irons in the fire.
I do, because they're collaborations with other people, and we're not quite at this stage where we can introduce what we're working on yet.
So you stopped, you collaborated, but you're not ready to listen.
True.
True and also correct.
Yes. And then I'm on the periphery. I beta read, I alpha read, I edit, and I do content and developmental projects for people.
You work for Parlament House too, correct?
Yes, I do. I'm a content editor for Parlament House.
We just had Chantel on yesterday.
She's awesome. She's technically my boss, so she's awesome.
So even if she wasn't, you really wouldn't say.
Oh.
No, she wouldn't.
No, Chantel's adorable. What was I going to say? So you like drag queens, and Zach likes drag queens. You should talk about drag queens.
Well, what do you want to know?
Oh no, I know everything.
Is this? That's what we should have done. We
Oh
should
my God.
put two against each other for drag queen trivia.
Except she's up on Drag Race.
Oh shit, yeah, I'm not.
This is true. Yes.
So then we would have given all the questions to this most recent season, so Zach could cry.
Yeah, I have group chats going on with Drag Race, and pretty much that's what we talk about constantly.
Yeah, my hero is Bianca Del Rio.
Yes. Have you seen her Netflix movies?
Both of them.
Yes.
Hurricane Bianca and Hurricane Bianca 2.
Yes.
Electric Boogaloo.
Oh.
No, it's From Russia with Love.
Yes, and
That's
it's hilarious. It's
That scene where she's in the hotel. It's like, I can see Alaska from here, and the pans outside, and Alaska is fighting two babushkas for a loaf of bread.
And they trade favors for potatoes. That.
Yes, we've also actually as a present, Layla took me. We actually saw the Bianca in the Not Today Satan tour. We actually went and saw her perform.
Oh my God, so jealous now.
It was amazing.
Oh. My current favorite is Nina West, which she's on this current season, and she gags me. Oh my God.
Like
literally?
Yeah.
Kinky.
Literally and physically, figuratively, everything.
Got it. My second favorite to Bianca is Jinx Monsoon. I actually have a pop of Jinx Monsoon.
That's cool.
Neat.
she's like, wow, you're a dork. Okay.
Wow. No, I have, which if you look on my Insta, I've got an autograph of Eureka O'Hara from,
wow.
Yeah, she, one of my friends went to DragCon last year and waited in line just so I could have that autograph.
I'm sorry, hold the phone. Did you just say DragCon? There's
yes.
a DragCon?
Where?
There, in LA, and then next month maybe, I think, or sometime this month they'll be in New York. It's
we gotta go to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. RuPaul hosts it, so it's all the Ru girls, and it's huge. It's huge.
Just now hearing about this.
Oh, don't ask me. You're the fucking drag aficionado.
Yeah.
All I know about drag is the fucking brunch at Lips.
We have a drag queen brunch here, and I've been trying to go, but it's always so busy. There's no way I can find parking or a babysitter.
Well, the cool thing is, there in one season of Drag Race, they take the queens to Hamburger Mary's, and they get a burger named after them. Hamburger Mary's is actually here in Orlando. We go to that.
Oh, that's cool. See, I live in West Virginia. We don't have anything here.
You live in West Virginia? We live in West Virginia. There's literally nothing here. Just like a rotted out gas station. We do have a Mothman coffee shop, but that's about it. Oh yeah, that's right. You guys are all about the Mothman, right? The prophecy?
Yeah, and the game on was it Fallout?
Is it?
Yeah, the new Fallout.
Fallout 76.
Oh, I don't know because Mick doesn't have that one, so
it's a really shitty one.
Oh, that's probably what.
Thank you for that.
I was like, yeah, by far the worst Fallout ever.
I'm a big game guy, and that one is just it. It's interesting for people that like survival video games, but it wasn't true to the Fallout universe. So it wasn't like a traditional Fallout game. And that's why fans of Fallout like me, I'm a huge Fallout fan. It's like this is not like anything you've ever had us play over the last year. It's just a completely different style, game, everything. It really shouldn't have been a Fallout.
I see. Well, thank you for that.
Sorry.
But we have like a festival every fall, the Mothman Festival in my hometown. And we have a statue in the town square of the Mothman. Yeah, like literally he is the bread and butter that keeps our town alive.
That's both fascinating and a little sad. But it's West Virginia, so I think that sums up the entirety of the state.
Pretty much. I feel that West Virginia is like Diet Florida.
Yes, that's perfect. Florida light.
It's Florida without the heat and the alligators.
But with a lot more cousin fucking? I don't know.
Cornhole isn't just a game style.
I mean, there's a reason everyone here likes Game of Thrones.
I'm making incest great again.
Incest is our state bird.
But your accent is so adorable. I will say that.
Oh, thank you. I actually hate my accent.
I fucking love it.
And I don't even
Mississippi. I'm impressed by your accent. I can understand you.
See, I don't even know if I can listen to this episode when it airs because it's just like, ah.
You get used to it, believe me. It took forever for me to get used to the sound of my own voice on this podcast. Every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, vocal fry, you sound awful. What the fuck? Like, do you ever stop laughing like a hyena?
I'm scrolling through the search popular page of Instagram.
Okay. The what popular page? Oh, look, it's Rebecca. She right there. She's on the she's on a
when you click search, it brings up all the popular posts and things like that under the things you look at. Running.
Hey, you're on Zach's popular Instagram page.
Well, that's a little creepy,
right? Facebook's always listening. We always say we have we joke around in my family coven chat, which is like all the women in my family. We're always like, as soon as we say something, like there'll be an ad that pops up and somebody will be like, wow, that FBI agent that listens to our chats on his game today. How's your day going, Steve? Okay, are you just going to fuck around on your phone or are you going to pay attention?
I'm paying full attention.
Are you though? Because it feels a lot like you're just
Take me
around.
home, West Virginia. I'm here.
I'm here. Oh, well, in that case.
So, tell us in 10 words or less.
So, let me explain. No, too long. Let me sum up. So, in a nutshell, tell us everything we need to know about you in 10 minutes, starting from the day you're born.
In 25 words or less.
Wow. You're put me on the spot here.
That's like 10 words.
Okay, you're really just running it down. Run down the clock.
Stop, focus.
No, we're just kidding. Just tell us anything you want us to know about you.
Her drag.
Yeah, he's in.
Yeah. Drag queens. Okay, so this is really fucking hard, guys. You put me on the spot.
Welcome to being on our show.
That's what an interview is.
Next, we're going to give you a math quiz.
Oh, God. I'm a total fangirl. I like just about everything. I'm into Supernatural, Sherlock. Huh?
I said, hell yeah.
Oh. Drag Race. There is a fandom out there for Drag Race. Yes, this is true. I love true crime. I like horror.
She's one of us.
Basically.
Yeah, I'm basically I'm one of you. So.
None of that fake ass crime.
No, it has to be the true crime.
Sorry, Zach has to deep throat the microphone or Layla gets angry with him. And then Zach and I have to spoon each other to talk to you.
Get up on that thing.
Like she's just pointing at the microphone like, get it in your mouth.
It's like an angry blowjob. It's like where you blowjobs where they're looking down at you and they're watching you do it.
Like, the person watching is Layla.
Oh, God.
He does. He has tons of experience.
You two know exactly what I'm... possibly you three know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. I don't want to assume anything about our interviewee at this moment.
Well, I'm married, so I don't have to do that anymore.
And she locked that shit in early, too, so she can just be done.
That's right.
She's like, I got married when I was 15, so I didn't have to worry about it anymore. Actually, I don't know how old you were.
It was a one and done thing with me.
She was so good, he proposed.
That's right.
He's like, I don't even need another one. This was it for me.
He liked it. He put on it. Fucking sucker.
He found the one.
And that was the only one.
She was like Cinderella.
That's that right there is a Highlander blowjob.
Her mouth is a slipper, like Cinderella. She was the one.
There was a carriage made out of pumpkins. An old woman watched.
Well, now you're describing my prom night.
Wait, on your prom night, an old woman watched you give a blowjob to your husband? This is a story you needed to send into. You won't believe this shit.
Yeah. I mean, we're already got foot fetish out of you. So.
Yeah, you're a font of knowledge.
I have lived a good life.
Or a bad life, depending on how you look at it.
Sounds like
She lived, damn it.
It's like Liza Minnelli and Cabaret. Depends on what lens you're looking through.
You, a quote-unquote supposed straight man, just reference fucking Cabaret and Liza Minnelli.
Yes. Life is a cabaret for me.
Oh, God. Oh, he's just referencing musicals and Liza Minnelli like straight guys, too. Okay, well, it is Pride Month, though. It is day one of Pride Month.
That's what I'm saying. Represent. Okay, so enough about your blowjobs. Let's talk about books.
Okay.
He doesn't write books yet.
I just saying let's talk about books in general.
So, have you read this book on blowjobs?
It's... Oh, I'm sorry. I meant in blue.
Oh, God, everything hurts. Oh, I feel high. Like, oh, we've been interviewing people all day. Oh.
This is the second one.
But the first one lasted 8 hours.
It lasted 52 minutes.
It was
But
a
we're
very long
exhausted.
interview.
This is like one of those like sex where it's just like a jarring jackhammering 15 minutes and it feels like it was an hour.
Like that. Like,
Wow. 15 minutes, that's a reach.
yeah. Like, it was like 15 minutes, not since we were in high school. That's
New
how you
York
lost the
City.
Dilla down.
Almost made it through a whole sitcom time frame.
It's like the commercial between Letterman.
Yeah, that was the whole Feel Like We Do. That was the live concert version. That was like 9 minutes.
She's just like, I have absolutely no idea what to say to any of this.
Sorry.
Zach!
Sorry.
Oh my God. You're disgusting. There's something fucking seriously wrong with you. Oh, I fucking hate you so much right now. Oh.
No.
Oh. Look, he can talk in the microphone. He made the mess. He can sleep in it.
Shit myself.
Sure smells like you did. Oh, God, but your onion breath in your ass. Now I'm dying.
What's up?
Hey.
Martina,
Chuck reflex.
Martina threw me the mic, so it's just you and me now. What the hell was that sound?
She's eating. You're too close. The microphone's wilting.
God damn. Fuck you, old mouthwash. The sandwich had onions on it.
Again, so do I now. Oh, God. Sorry, Rebecca.
Shouldn't we talk about books at some point?
Sure. What kind of books do you want to write?
Well, I want to write urban fantasy, probably some horror, maybe some suspense thrillers, and a graphic novel.
Oh,
How graphic.
Well, Zach.
Sorry.
It's like he can't help himself. What would your graphic novel be about?
Well, I love horror graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
So it would probably be something along the lines of like when Stephen King did the American Vampire stint. He only did a couple issues, but I loved it.
Oh.
And so something along that line. I just love the.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I would say I just love the artwork, and when you're writing a graphic novel, it's so fun because you have to be so visual in every scene, and it's almost like you're directing a movie instead of writing a book.
It's true. Go ahead with your question.
Have you ever heard of a graphic novel? Well, they're comic books, but they put them all together in graphic novels called Hack Slash.
I have heard of it. I have not read it yet.
Do it. They're so good.
I used to be this huge comic book and graphic novel nerd. before I had kids. I would actually, after work every Wednesday, I would go in and get like $100 worth of comics and just devour that shit.
God damn.
Shit. Got money like that.
Well, then I had
Imagine $100 worth of comic books in West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, that was, when I had my outside of writing career and no kids. So now we don't do that.
Otherwise known as money suckers. Kids.
That is true.
Little leeches. Even when they grow up, they're still fucking leeches. Sorry.
Is there anything you want to get off your chest, Martina?
No. She knows what she did. So, come on, Zach. Where's your usual questions? She's in the indie community. You gonna ask her who her allegiances are?
Yeah, pretty much what I did last night. So,
which side do you choose?
So, in the indie community, there's so many great things in the indie community, but then there's also things that we as a group need to work on it and improving. What are some things that you love about the indie community and what we stand for and what gets done? But then what are some things that we need to stop doing or get much better at doing?
So, a lot of times, I think that in the indie community, we're really good at finding our tribes. But then sometimes those tribes can be a little cliquish.
It turns into Lord of the Flies.
Every fucking time.
I think you're right.
But it's true because then you find your core people and then sometimes you're like, oh, well, this is it. I'm not going to branch out anymore. This is it for me. We're not going to look at anything else. We're not going to promote anything else. So I think we need to work on that. And embracing people a little more, stepping outside of our cliques, and
he said
he's on board.
Yeah, my kid just creeped down the stairs.
Wait, you have two girls, right?
Yes, I have 2 daughters.
She said it.
No. I just thought about it. I was like, no, she has 2 little girls. That's right. I mean, at that age, they all sound alike.
And then also there's this, coming from a blogging standpoint, I remember being in groups and these authors asking for feedback. And then I would come in and say, oh, well, this is what I think you should do. And they would basically say, shut up. You're a blogger. You don't know. And this has been a few years. Now it's not, at least for me, I haven't experienced that in a few years. But a lot of times people are wondering why bloggers don't want to share things. They don't want to promote things. Because we feel left out or we don't feel valued in the community. So that's something I think we need to work on too. Be courteous to the people who are offering to help you.
Well, we were about to talk about that one author who, did you see the scandal that broke out where the author provided an art copy and sent them a message saying he was wondering when they were going to review his book, and she was like, oh, well, we have it slated for blah blah blah, but I will warn you it's not a positive review. And he was like, well, then I don't want you to publish it then. And she was like, well, basically like, okay. And then he just proceeded to send her just text after text after text about, you don't know what you're doing, and I think it's completely rude, and how, like, why would you offer to, review a book and then give it a bad review? And she's like, well, it's supposed to be an honest review. And, she did critique it really well, and she said, things you could improve, and he did exactly the same thing. It was like, oh, well, you're just a blogger, you don't know, like. And then so on their rules, it basically says, if you're a dick, we're going to publish everything you text us. And then he got pissed that she did exactly what it says they're going to do in the rules. And then he was like, oh, you're so immature, and I can't believe you would do that. You've destroyed my credibility and you've destroyed my career. And she's like, what do you say, Zach? Put a quarter in your ass.
Yeah, put a quarter in your ass because you played yourself.
He did it to himself. She's like, all I did was just point out what you said. I didn't make you say it.
No, I hadn't seen that one yet, but I'm going to say good for her.
Yeah, no, everybody was 100% on her side.
Yeah.
Like, we all learned real quick, you're not supposed to ever, attack when you get a negative review. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah, no matter how much you want to.
Right. And I will say, if you're going to give a bad review, give constructive criticism. Don't just say, like, this sucked ass. Like, you need to say, I felt like maybe this needed more editing, or maybe this could have. So
don't leave a comment that says just awful, period.
Right.
One of my authors is crying because they just got a review that just was a 1-star. It just said just awful, period. It was just like, what the fuck? They're like, I'm gonna go drink for the rest of the night. It's like, don't let one negative comment kill it.
See, I'd print that shit out and make a magnet and just laugh about it all day.
Talk about taking the power from it.
She's like, that's right, bitch. She's like, add it to my collection.
That's right. I mean, I have learned from an early age that you got to get on top of that shit and make fun of yourself before someone else does.
Girl, I learned that shit in fourth grade.
Oh, but yeah. So like with my blog, Bibliogal, we're not as active as we used to be because, like Martina's accurately said, I've got a lot of irons in the fire right now. For a long time, I quit doing review requests. I would only review books that I bought myself. So then that would kind of protected me from an author coming back saying, I gave this to you as a gift. Why did you shit all over it?
Because you write shit.
Yeah, it's not my fault your book's shitty. Sorry.
Yeah. And my early reviews, like my very first ones, and I was really hard because I used to review for this company, which I don't want to name now because I feel like I just don't like them. But they used to be really hard. Like, you would give your review, they would then grade your review. And if you weren't harsh and really strict with how you reviewed this, they wouldn't publish it, and then you wouldn't get any circulation or recognition. So my first reviews independently used to be really hard, and but I always tried to do it with like a layers. I would say
like
something. Yes, like an onion. I would say, well, this really needs some more editing, but it's got good bones.
The structure is there. Just need to flesh it out a little bit.
Right. But then
we're on the right track.
People would still get mad at me for that. I used to get private comments like, why would you do that? Why would you say that? I'm like,
it's just because books are like our children, and we're always like handing them off to people being like, tell me, do you think my baby's ugly? They're like, yeah, good bone structure, but yeah, it kind of got it's a little chubby. Maybe you might put him on a diet, or like, you're just like, fuck you. It's just fuck you. You just don't understand my baby.
But I totally understand that. I wrote a book one time. I wrote a book, and I gave it to a beta reader, and it came back, and I was like, delete. I deleted that shit.
No, everything can be fixed in edits. That's what we say all the time. Believe me, if anybody ever read the first book I wrote, I would definitely never have published ever again, because people be like, what the fuck is this garbage?
People have read the first book I've read. Unfortunately, I used to sell that shit intentionally.
No, look over here. We don't pay attention to that anymore. Like, forget about that book. Don't go there.
Look at the bunny.
Why are you poking me? It's bad enough that you stink. Now you're going to be pushing on my face? No.
It sounds exactly what it sounds like is what it is.
Yes, I'm talking to Zach, not the dogs, for a change. Our dogs have some sort of weird, quote-unquote, dog pile going on over here.
They're about to summon a demon.
Yeah, they literally are in the shape of a triangle. Like, fucking... You've got to get a picture of this, but without my stomach, please. Like, seriously, our animals, like, nobody would believe us if we showed you the way they're laying. All we need is, like, the blood of a virgin, and we could literally summon a demon right now with these dogs.
Do we know any virgins?
I don't know if any exist anymore. Nowadays, you'll get, like, fucking go to preschool.
We know 30 virgins? Is it the elementary school up the street?
Exactly. You can't even trust that shit in fucking middle school anymore.
Average age now is 11.
Ugh, gross. Just children in general. Gross.
Yeah,
No,
little fucking germ factory.
Well, we are at 30 minutes and we're getting the cutoff from Layla that is our signal because we ran too long last time. But it was nice of you to come talk to us. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry
awesome.
if we we were all over the place as per the usual.
Well, thank you for having me. I was really excited to finally talk to you.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's awesome.
We can't actually talk like off the microphone. Like, we can chat. Like, it's cool.
We'll talk later.
Okay.
Boom.
And we're back.
I love talking shit and spilling tea. It's so much fun.
And we learned about DragCon.
I know, right?
How did we not fucking know that
We
was a
have
thing that
to go to DragCon.
existed?
Jesus Christ.
It's
I feel
like
that's
Mecca.
Gonna be such a good time, right?
It's Zach's true home. Hey, you can bring a new boyfriend.
Really?
Really? I'm not letting this go.
And neither are you.
Exactly.
All right, Martina, hit him up with our social medias.
Oh boy, this is exhausting. All right, Facebook, you can find us at Books and Bullshit. Twitter, you can find us at Books Bullshit P1. Instagram is Books and BS Podcast. If you want to email us your hilarious fucking stories, you can send it to booksandbspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to give us your hard-earned money, you can find us at Books and Bullshit on Patreon. And you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Podbean.
Seems pretty legit. On the note of our Spotify, thank you to all of our... Not
Spotify?
Spotify. Sorry, not Spotify.
To everybody listening on Spotify,
No, our Patreon, my bad. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you guys, what?
I just want to remind everybody, if you like us, if you could please subscribe, download, and review us. Rate and review. That's how we get noticed. Downloads are how we get noticed. So if you really, really, really love us, if you follow us on Spotify or rate and review on iTunes, that moves us up in the rankings, and someday somebody might actually want to really sponsor us. That would be groovy. Thanks, and thank you.
Right now, our sponsors are all you awesome people on our Patreon.
But someday, maybe HelloFresh will sponsor us, and then you guys can have a break.
Casper mattresses.
Exactly.
So go check that out. We have content as low as $1 a month, guys. There's so much fun stuff in there. And that directly goes to helping us out, specifically getting Martina here, because gas is expensive.
Fucking word.
So please do that if you guys like this content. Go check that out. $1 a month. Please, may I have some more?
Just $1 to make Zach holler.
Hey. Give us $20 a month and see what I'll do. All right, guys. So
On Patreon.
Yeah, on Patreon. All right, so until then, y'all has a good one. Catch you later.
Bye-bye.